Snoot versus Neeb is our first semi-final, and that will be happening tomorrow. Super excited for that, but I am more excited to find out who will be also in the semi-finals and also making it to the final day of the DreamHack here in Austin, Texas. It is now time to move on to our next quarterfinal to see who will take that spot. Before that, though, I do need to start talking about the lovely sponsors who have put effort into this tournament to make it possible for us to enjoy StarCraft 2. A big shout out to Zowie, G2A, Razer, Monster Energy, and Alienware. Now, time to focus on StarCraft once again. Back on the desk, we have Nathanius, Total Biscuits, and in control.
I love StarCraft.
Do you now?
Great game.
I like StarCraft 2. I mean, as well.
As well.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying.
Let's talk about that last match. That was a brilliant series to enjoy, watch the seed unfold. It went to 5 games for the first time, I think, in 2 days. We've actually seen a game go the distance, and what a way to end it.
It really was nice to see. What I liked about this series is that Puck played very well. We've seen a lot of 3-0s. We've seen very good players get kind of rolled over, and it always makes me cringe a little bit because they have so much more to show. Puck went down really, really well here, actually pushing Neeb further than I guess anybody else has so far, and ending in a kind of a cool way, by the way. The Golden Armada, as Nate said.
Oh, yeah.
and actually fantastic analysis by Kevin as well, talking about, and Nate, how because he took that gold base as the island expansion, not only does the Armada defend against it, but it creates a triangle where it's like, the natural thing is, oh no, there's capital ships. I guess I counterattack, but because of how tightly packed that corner was, that wasn't really an option, and it put Puck in a super tough spot. Really cool game.
Yeah. Any additional thoughts on that series, or are you excited for the Terran player to play?
The Terran player.
No, I want to watch Neeb versus Snoot, actually.
That is actually
a very exciting match.
For me, that is... everyone keeps... I mean, they're looking... I know a lot of people are looking to me for the Terran bias. Neeb is... I picked him at the start of the... He's my boy. He's the guy I want to see. As far as final thoughts go, I'm just happy, like In Control said, that Puck was able to play well because he's someone that I talk to all the time, and whenever he comes out of a tournament in a 2-0 or 3-0, he always says the same thing. He's like, man, I wish I could have at least just shown, people good games or whatever. Like, he doesn't want to lose badly, and I don't feel like he lost badly in that series at all. He really put a good effort into it and really showed that he can go toe-to-toe with Neeb, but Neeb is that rising star in America for a reason.
He actually, that timing attack where he was storming the Void Rays, and it was just before, I think there was 1.5 carriers out there, there's a second one out there before the upgrade. If he would have had a Warp Prism and he was supporting that attack and really going for it, that actually could have been the end of Neeb in this tournament, which is kind of crazy.
Crazy thing to say, isn't it? A crazy thing to think that someone who's been playing that strongly could have gone out that easily. But it was interesting to see Puck push Neeb to the limit. And it looked for a minute like it was just going to be another 3-0, so you'd be like, okay, we get it. Neeb's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But as it turns out, Puck was almost there, and it's a bit of a shame, but someone's got to go. And regardless, we get an American move forward to the round of 4, which is, I think, imperative at the first American DreamHack event to see the potential of an American win.
That'd be amazing.
He's got a good shot to go to the finals as well.
He does, yeah.
That's all ahead of us tomorrow. But now let's focus then on our next match at hand. It is the Frenchman who defeated the #1 really in WCS, the player that's qualified for the global playoffs. Pult is eliminated from the tournament because of FireCake.
In convincing fashion.
Yes, 3 games to 1.
It was not exactly a hard road, I think, for FireCake. After dropping one map, after trying the same thing twice, which, not bad when you have a map in hand, he then just decides, you know what, there's a few other ways for me to do this. That win rate is a little different to what we saw on the screen last time, which was literally 9% against Pult, but an 80% win rate against Masa.
He shot up a lot.
Yeah. That's quite scary. Though we were talking about this a little bit before we came onto the panel, that Masa is a different player to Pult. Masa is a player, he's all about speed. He's all about aggression. He's all about multi-pronged attacks. Those are the kind of things that could potentially poke a hole in FireCake's greedy builds.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to compare to Pult because all of Pult's builds, especially against Zerg, are designed to be very Swiss Army knife. I'm not particularly strong in any one area, but I can deal with everything. And Masa is more of a, I'm going to commit really hard to something. He's the kind of guy that has lost to players that are, not rated as high as him just because of build order losses. He will go really ham on some things that leave him super vulnerable to maybe things like that early Roach Ravager attack. But at the same time, it does mean that if you were to commit to a sort of aggression, if he has a good idea of what FireCake wants to do, like that, rush into Ultralisks, that could give him the advantage he needs to do enough damage, because unlike Polt, he's not going to pull any punches with his aggression.
Look at Masa winning $42,000. That's like, that is 2 bills for Roddy in the club. Like that is actually an incredible amount of money.
That is.
He wins everything in Canada.
I mean, that sounds like the amount of money that Todd would lose in one night of poker.
Yeah.
That too. You're right, yeah.
So glad I don't
You have been blocked on Twitter, by the way. Blocked on Twitter.
I don't think you understand. I've been blocked on Twitter by Todd for the last 5 years.
All right.
It's an achievement in life. What can I say?
Here is the map veto then for these 2 players. Nate, any thoughts as our resident kind of StarCraft expert?
Well, my expert status tells me that FireCake is not Terran, but you do not want to play Core Hall Carnage Knockout because you kind of just play around the edges of that map in Terran versus Zerg, which is really, really bad for Zerg because once Liberators come out, like that is a nightmare. Every single fight is through a choke point. Masa vetoing Prion Terraces makes a lot of sense because Zerg players can ramp up with a very low drone count to an incredibly large Roach Ravager style, which is very popular on that map and is something that FireCake has shown a tendency towards. So, in my opinion, vetoes make sense. The other maps are fairly straight up, and I wouldn't be able to say that they give either player a big edge.
Well, Jeff, I know Total Biscuit talked about this a little bit already, but from a complete newbie perspective over here as just the host, not an expert,
just a host,
not a commentator.
Yeah.
When I look at it on paper, I see FireCake beat Polt. Polt plays Terran. Masa also plays Terran. Masa seems to be a less skilled player than Polt, which means FireCake beats Masa.
I think it's interesting because certainly Polt is the big player. Like whoever beat that player is going to get all that attention and be like, oh wow, you slayed the dragon, as it were. But what I think is funny about Masa is Masa has constantly, his career so far has been as the person that nobody ever gives credit to. They're like, Masa? Yeah, I remember him, I think in an MLG or something. Like nobody can be like, where's Masa? Where was his big accomplishment? But all the while, he's always beaten good players and always been... he also had the benefit of sitting in that audience, or at least in the player area, and watching that series and seeing, oh, okay, you're doing like a 6-minute or 7-minute hive, and you're defending with Lings and maybe an Infestor or 2. Well, then my game plan is I'm going to just like... I'm going to attack you with 4
Which he kind of does anyway. Masa is really fast and aggressive. Whereas Polt is that Swiss Army knife style. You mentioned it earlier, and that might be something that he can exploit. I feel against a Ravager style in particular, the faster you are, the better it's going to be for you.
Yeah, and another big thing to point out is that when you play against someone like Polt, he's not going to cheese you. Outside of IEM Katowice, he's historically been probably the least cheesy Korean Terran to ever play outside of Korea. If you're FireCake, you're like, yeah, I'm not worried about going hatch first. A little bit late Zergling speed. It's not a huge deal since he's not going to 2-racks you. He's not going to 3-racks Marine all-in or Mass Reaper. Masa will do that. He will throw a build like that out. In a best of 5, I would be surprised if he played super straight up every game.
That's exactly right.
And if he gets a game 1 win, I would almost guarantee probably some sort of really aggressive 1-base pressure in game 2.
The other thing, too, is FireCake knows Polt. He's probably flat out played against him a few times. In fact, we know he did. He had that one terrible series we tried to cheese him all 3 games. Masa... He probably went around. He's like, "Pardon me, like who is Masa?" Like he has no idea who this guy is.
That is the worst French
that
accent
was pretty
I've
bad.
ever heard in my life.
Listen, all right.
Can we all get blocked by Todd today?
Bleu.
Can we all get blocked by Todd today? Can we make that the goal then?
Oh wow. Well, some of us already have been blocked by Todd.
All right.
Are you telling me you haven't already? Jeez, you do. What the hell's wrong with you?
He has in the past.
He has many times before.
It's actually all of us.
Three times.
Nice. Okay, it's pretty good. You got the trifecta. I like it.
All right, game is almost ready. I know you're excited. Predictions?
I do think FireCake's the better player. He's played on the bigger stage. I think that's all common and good. And I was impressed with how he played against Polt. It wasn't just like 7-minute hive, lol, Ultralist. He actually controlled it very nicely. Even in the games he lost, or the game he lost, rather, he played very, very well. I think he is the player to go on here, but he's going to have to survive the shenanigans of Masa. We're going to see some weird stuff. We're going to see like rough-esque weird cheese executed at pseudo-Korean level. Like that is Masa.
Yeah, and on that basis, I'm going to say actually Masa, I think, has the edge. I think it's 3-2, but I do believe it. I believe in Masa. The ability of Masa to win a tournament, not necessarily. The ability of Masa to place highly and come out of nowhere to surprise people. There's a point you made earlier that they don't play very much because they play on different ladders regularly, and Masa is a beast on American ladder. and he is feared, rightfully so. So I'm going to 3-2 Masa.
Nathanius, real fast.
3-1 Masa.
Nailed it.
Thanks, mate.
All right, and here we are in the game. Let's see who got it right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dust Towers. It is my pleasure to introduce to you, representing France in the North position, in the red trunks, playing Zerg, it is FireCake. Versus his opponent to the south position in the blue trunks, playing Terran for Team Elevate. Give it up for Masa.
Masa, a bit of the unknown, making his first appearance on this stage, but having beaten, you know, some pretty good players on his way here, surprising some people again, and that's kind of just Masa. He's not, you're not going to read a forum post where he went ham, you're not going to see a tweet where he's calling somebody out. It's always just going to be that he shows up to tournaments, plays his darndest, and does pretty well. And even actually, like, his online accomplishments are kind of funny. They're impressive and good, but there's no one like, oh yeah, Masa, that's that guy who won that big tournament knocking out 2 Koreans. There's no real way to plant a flag on him and be like, this guy is legitimately good. And that's what's kind of cool about kind of the current realm of tournament play that we're in right now, where we do see players like Masa shine, and this is his chance.
It's worth pointing out that Masa actually has a good success rate in American events. I mean, particularly, you know, once I've hosted every Shoutcraft America I've invited Masa to, he's always performed well. I've seen him go 4-0 in groups repeatedly. He has problems closing it out, which I feel is a quintessential issue with a lot of American players. They'll come out strong and then they just kind of, they lose their momentum towards the end of the tournament for whatever reason. It's almost like they burn out. You know, they play fast, they play strong. Masa is that guy in a nutshell. He plays fast, he plays strong, and then he just runs out of steam towards the end. I just hope that doesn't happen again. But I do feel that his aggressive style will suit him well against what FireCake's been doing. The question is, does FireCake do the same thing? Maybe not.
No, I actually really like your point, Total Biscuit, because that is something that that's one of the ways we separate the true champion Koreans and pretty much the rest. Like, it's one thing to play bold in the early stages of a tournament, to make those hard decisions like, no, I'm going for it, I'm cheesing this game, or I'm calling their bluff. But later in the tournament, against better opponents, to make those choices when there's more on the line, it takes something special. And that's why there's so many dominant and amazing Koreans, because they seem to have that kind of X factor of like, yeah, it's game 5 and I'm going to proxy 2-gate you. Like, that is what it takes to win the big stuff.
A little bit of shake-up here from FireCake already. We see quite early speed coming out of him here, and the pneumaticized carapace, so there's potential for that speedling drop that we have seen from other Zerg players, but FireCake hasn't really been favoring it this tournament yet. Thing is, those speedlings are about to kick in. They might catch that Reaper off guard, and this could get early. Quite early stim coming out of the Terran player here, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about this. A lot of times Zergs are right now using that as just the, I'm going to see absolutely everything you're doing.
Oh, lovely pick off by FireCake. Nice snipe there.
Yeah, and the other kind of scary thing, though, is we have seen from FireCake that very possible and very kind of, I don't want to say classic, but we've seen it enough that it's getting to be fairly standard. The quick Queen Zergling drop didn't work against Polt at Katowice. This is a different beast, but I think it looks like with that third hatch behind us in drones, he's just going to use the Speed Overlord to just be like, I don't know who you are. I want to see everything you're doing. I want to have an idea of what I'm facing.
Yeah, because the point that you made earlier was completely valid, and Masa and FireCake don't play that often.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I think that Polt, he's just such a well-known player that his builds are out there, his style is out there. People know him even if they don't get to play him all that often.
Yeah, and if you're a top-notch player, you've had a series or 5 against Polt. Like,
yeah.
He actually is at all the big tournaments, and it has always been. And that's what, I mean, not to toot Polt's horn too much, because we are supposed to be talking to 2 other guys.
Well,
but like,
and he also lost.
Yeah,
you know,
there is that, I guess. But that's what's so incredible about Polt. He's like literally won championships in 2010, 2011, through 2016. It doesn't matter what the meta, the map pool, the current state of Terran. He's just been so consistent. But here, we're going to see a little bit of a different thing from Masa. He is putting an add-on on that factory, and I don't see a starport necessarily next to it, so I wonder...
Yeah, the starport floated below the command center earlier. I think he's just using it standard. Just
already got a reactor on it.
But that's a really early Liberator, though. Like, that's very interesting. I have to wonder what kind of pressure he intends to put on there. Or I think he may have actually recognized... Oh, that was close. Man, spider sense here from Masa detecting that. Stim's about to be done. We're going to see some action. How is he evading that? I mean, he's very quick on the ball. You've got to admit it.
Well, he has to, he just knows that the strength of this drop is going to be in that it's undetected, but it has been spotted. What is FireCake going to do? 16 Zerglin's about to come out. The nice thing about this drop and this timing for the drop, though, is as long as he doesn't let too much damage go from the Queens to the Medivacs, he can always just pick up and disengage, and I think he's about to do just that.
Yeah, he's going to have to do it. You know, note the stutter step from Masa. We know how bloody fast he is, but that's only going to do so much. You know, there was enough defense on the ground there, and this is way less greedy. I mean, this is a 5-minute 40 lair. We're not seeing the crazy rush up to hatchery. This is an entirely different beast from fighting. This is what I was worried about going into this.
Yep.
I thought, hey, all right, if Masa has an idea of what's coming out of FireCake, his aggressive style is going to play into it. Problem is, FireCake obviously figured that out already, and he's playing a different style. It's a safer style, and it's working so far.
Pressure's going to continue here. Now 3 Medivacs worth of units. Some did die in that attack into the natural. But what's nice about this pressure, and this is very classic Terran versus Zerg, making sure that creep doesn't get too far forward. If you're going to be on Roach tech, one of the ways to capitalize against that Roach Ravager tech is its immobility, its difficulty of dealing with drops. Now going after the Ravagers themselves. Ouch. Drones are pulled actually right now, and some econ damage is coming in. 7 going on 8, 9, 10, 11 drones dead, and the Marines are going to pick up. Now, what's important to keep note here, losing Marines, not a big deal. We call that trading in RTS world, but losing Medivacs, that would be bad. So far, he's lost none.
Combat shields in the mix. This is exactly the style I thought he would play, and note how much his stutter step and his speed helped against those Ravagers. He was able to easily evade the shots and stay out of the range while attacking the drones. He did significant economic damage there, and he's playing this much more aggressive, fast style, and it is starting to put FireCake a little bit off balance, and it's good to see. And I like the earlier combat shield here as well, realizing, oh, he's playing a Roach Ravager style. I need that extra HP to buffer.
Exactly, and he has 1-1 upgrades coming in behind this too. So again, just kind of a fast pace, as you said, and also kind of classic style of TvZ, except for the fact that he's just constantly all over the place, and this is trademark Masa Terran play. He actually loves this across the board in all 3 matchups. Now going to go for some econ damage at the back of that mineral line while we're pressuring up into the natural. Just Roaches alone are not going to be adequate here.
Look at the medevac count. It's really good. This is a 4 medevac push, and that's great against those Roaches. He's going to do some damage. He's hit the mineral line. He's going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4. See how many you can get here. Good economic damage, and as you said, it doesn't matter if he loses those Marines. He's traded them for more valuable units. There's one concern I've got here. Look at that. 18 workers killed. That's great. That's really going to stunt the growth and the tech. But here comes that 7-minute 50 hive. Here's the problem. Masa plays a really heavy Marine style, like way, way more so than Paul.
Yep.
Like, he is loath to create things that aren't Marines and medevacs most of the time. So if he keeps doing this and he doesn't kill him before the Ultralists come out, that's one dead Terran player.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ultras would be the doomsday thing to see coming out here, but even before that, things like Fungal is actually really bad against those Marines.
Absolutely.
And then we've seen FireCake couple that with the Corrosive Bile to great effect. Now, to give credit's due, FireCake has had his boundaries pushed here a little bit, and he's keeping up. His drone count is healthy. His army supply is there. He's not overextending. He will have this 4th base canceled. But I have to agree with your point, Total Biscuit. There has to be more damage coming in out of Masa if he wants to pull ahead.
Well, he jumps right on top of the Ravagers, and then this quick hop, pick up, and go. And I don't know. There is a good amount of damage being done, there's no doubt about that. But FireCake's once again pulled ahead in the economy. The army supply, though, is heavily in favor of Masa.
Yeah.
I think if he can gather everything together and go for a big push, that's great. But in this situation, with Infestors and Ravagers on the field, that's a risk in and of itself. He picks one off, though. That's good.
That Infestor whiffs. There's the scan to kill a couple of creep tumors. Going to push forward in here. The first drop was not successful, but it earned space for this one.
Yep.
And now Masa has to be really careful. A single fungal growth on the entirety of that army would be devastating, but there is no Infestors here.
Yeah, he picked him off earlier.
And he picks up again and just gets out of there.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is just such a much more aggressive style than Pulse, and it's more effective. But I think it's kind of on borrowed time, really. There's already +2 Carapace out, which has made the Marines a little bit less effective. Yeah. I like the integration of the Marauders into the composition. Yeah. That's really mitigating the Roaches, but how long can he keep doing this? Ultra Cavern is going down right now.
So far, he's doing great. Good split there, getting away from the Corrosive Bile and avoids the Fungal as well. He's going to push forward. The army count for FireCake staying out here a little bit. And here comes a huge swell of Bioforce. This might actually just be it. FireCake is getting just pushed up against the wall. He's like, where is all this aggression coming from? There's more medevacs than there are Zerg units here, guys.
Masa in a nutshell. This is exactly what he needed to do. It is 90 army supplied to 37. Masa needs to get his whole army here right now. I don't know where the rest of it is, but it needs to be right here, right now. No, it doesn't. GG.
Masa's going to take it home. He started attacking and never let up. The medevacs, they didn't pull back to the third. They didn't pull back to the non-existent fourth. They would just get outside of the Zerg's vision, reload with Marines, and go back to doing things like canceling the fourth, killing creep tumors, and going after the actual heartland of the Zerg player. Like, Masa mauled him like a honey badger, man. That's what I'm thinking here. Honey badger.
Yeah, absolutely. Honey badger don't give a damn. There's no doubt about that. No, he doesn't. Yeah, it's absolutely no. I mean, why would it? It has no reason to. It's the most dangerous creature in Far Cry. Everyone knows that.
Well, absolutely.
Everyone knows
Probably
that.
planet Earth as well.
I would imagine so. At this point, that is exactly what I expected Masa to do. That is Masa's trademark style. He's crazy quick.
Yeah.
He's faster than Paul. Paul was never the fastest player ever.
Not really.
But as you said, Paul, who was playing a little bit more like, I'm going to harass here, I'm going to harass there. Masa's like, I'm going to kill this, I'm going to kill that, I'm going to go for it right now. And he recognized that opening in FireCake's build. So I think FireCake's going to have to revert to what he did to Paul in game 3 and 4, which is a bit more of a defensive. He kind of already did that, but he didn't quite have enough.
It was like an organic learning thing, though. He wasn't necessarily like, I'm going to be defensive. He was like, oh, I'm defensive. And by the way, FireCake, you just got a crash course on Masa because of all the players, we were talking about how Snoots kind of changed himself up a little bit. We saw some cheese in ZvZ. We saw him doing the macro stuff. Masa is going to be at a breakneck speed of aggression. The only change you're going to see is probably the variety of aggression that's going to come at you. It's not always going to be bio drops like this the entire game. Sometimes it's going to be even mech we've seen from Masa. It'll be quick Widowmine drops. It could be anything. And that's what FireCake's going to have to adapt to on the fly, and that's going to be really tough.
It will be. There's no doubt about that. I wonder if we're going to see FireCake revert to what he was known for in Heart of the Swarm, a more defensive style. But we've said it before, the Swarm host isn't really up to that anymore. So I wonder if FireCake's come up with a different way to do it. But I expect to see full throttle from Masa going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Arena. It's my pleasure to bring you in the northwest position in the red trunks from Euronics Gaming. It is FireCake. Versus his opponents to the southwest position. Currently at 1 game in this best of 5 series, representing Canada in the blue trunks, playing Terran. It is Team Elevate's Masa.
FireCake, kind of that, I don't want to call it old guard StarCraft 2 French scene, but certainly he's not one of the newer ones. He's been very good for a few years here. Going up against a young buck that, as you have pointed out, Total Biscuit, they probably have not clashed in the ladder. They most certainly haven't played in tournaments that I know of. And Masa actually has an interesting background as well. He is Canadian, but he's dual citizenship with Korea, I believe. Yep. He's actually from Korea, he speaks Korean. And he brought his skills here and has been just dominant in the North American... Well, let's not say dominant, but let's say he's been like that kind of like shadowy figure that shows up to North American tournaments and just tears it down. He very recently beat Huck in the finals of a LAN event that occurred in Canada. You'll have to excuse me for not knowing the exact name of it, but that, I mean, beating Huck in the finals, there's not a whole lot of people that can say that, and Masa is one of them.
Yeah, that's very true indeed. I've seen him play in a lot of online events. He's always a threat. Never necessarily the champion, but always a threat. He can always take games. He always gets far in the bracket, and he started showing up to North American lands when they happen and performing well in them. And we've said this a lot about Terran players. People always ask me, why is it that the most successful Terran players come from Korea? Almost all the time. And a lot of it is really down to the fact that Terran is the hardest race mechanically to perform well with. The amount of speed you require to play Terran well is higher than the other races. And for some reason, don't know why, but the Koreans seem to have a higher average actions per minute than anybody else. Masa has the Korean level speed. So as a result, he's able to be successful even outside of Korea, where the average skill level is a lot higher. And he turned that into ruthless aggression. The thing is that that's almost all he does all the time. That doesn't work always. Sometimes you need to chill. Sometimes you need to hold back. Sometimes you need to play defensively or economically. Masa just seems to know how to go for the throat.
I could do nothing but agree there. Masa so far showing a pretty similar opening. I think that starport may be a little bit faster. I think he had 2 barracks than the starport. I could be wrong. And a tech lab on that factory. So we're either going to see that tech lab switch over and maybe a Banshee. Nope, it's going It's going to be Widow Mines, actually.
Okay.
Or maybe a Widow Mine, then he switches. We'll have to wait and see. But the point is, he's going for something a little bit different here. We are seeing that lightning-fast lair coming out from FireCake. Now, in the past, against Polt, that was to get a quick hive and go straight for Ultraless. On Yorina, that would be a very bold move, Cotton, if he was to go for that. Because the weakness, of course, is there's a giant chunk of time there where you're putting all your money into high-tech stuff that doesn't translate into Army. And with such quick drop locations, I think that'd be a huge gamble. We'll have to see when that layer finishes if this is not for something else. Maybe a quick Spire.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that. It's a definite switch up.
Yeah,
there you go. We have not seen that from FireCake before. I like the switch up, though, because I think FireCake has realized, all right, you know what, that Ultra Tech, it's great, but Masa he just wants to kill me. He just wants to go for it. He's so vicious. And I think that this adaptation is going to work fairly well because of the drop-heavy style of Masa. Having that air control is going to be extremely valuable.
Zerglings in the middle of the map, they do have speed. They're going to kind of return back because this drop has been spotted. Widowmine does go down. Doesn't make a meaningful connect. And it is going to fire. And he's actually picking up and putting it back down, waiting for the bigger shot. And it hits a Queen.
And it whiffs.
That's really good for FireCake. That's the unit that you want. Yeah, sure, the Queen dies, but who cares? It's not 9 drones. And Masa's going to try to do some micro magic here. It is mostly just drones here, but with only a couple Marines in there, it's fine.
I mean, it's going to slow down FireCake's development just a little bit here. But now he spots the Spire, which is great. I mean, maybe he spots that a little bit too late, but at least he's got it. Engineering base starts immediately as a result of that. Not the most effective drop in the world, but I think the information he got there was very valuable.
The Widow Mine continues, actually, now with 3 drones. So it's now up to 3 drones.
Being forced to go down here because he's got no detection.
Which is interesting that he goes for the Spore Call. I guess it has some utility in that he can continue to use that against future drops.
Yep.
Viking coming out here as well from Masa. It's going to get an Overlord or 2, but kind of clear up that airspace and perhaps make it more viable for drops later. But that being said, Mutas are about to take to the skies, and they're going to secure map control almost certainly. Widowmine does get cleaned up here.
There are only 4 of them, though. This is something FireCake pointed out in his interview last time. It's like, yeah, I built the Spire and then built 4 Mutas because my economy had been disrupted and I couldn't do anything. But he's committing. That's +1 air attack. You know, you don't build that unless you intend to build more Mutalisks.
Yeah, which is interesting because for a lot of you, in case you didn't know this, the meta on Mutalisk in this matchup, it used to be Ironclad. And throughout all of Heart of the Swarm, it was Mutaling, Baneling. Anything else was weird. There was some variety. There's, of course, transitions later in the game, but that dominated the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. Now with Liberators, having that nice AoE anti-air damage, but also having the utility to provide some kind of support to the ground as well, means that Terrans aren't pigeonholed into like, oh no, I don't have control over the air. And it's all of a sudden Zerg that's like, yeah, I'll make Mutas to force you to make Liberators, but then I have to quickly transition to something else because it's not like them going Liberators is a problem. They're not like, oh no, I have Liberators now. Liberators are great.
Hello, Liberators say hi to you, and I mean, that's going to be a bunch of dead Mutas, most likely, if he can get the flank. He just needs a couple more shots off, and he gets 2. Can he get the rest? Well, I mean, it's
He's
good.
like, keep him. You can have 2 Mutas, I don't care.
You know what's interesting here is that we're still not seeing any Mutas, but he's banking gas. I have to wonder if we're going to see a little bit of a Corruptor switch out of him. But Masa's not taking the bait right now. He's not building any more Liberators.
I don't want to read too far into this because I don't want to do that thing, but I'm going to do it anyways, where it's like, hey, the +1 air attack is about to finish. This, to me, tells me that FireCake's a little bit all over the place. Like, +1 air attack is a little bit weird at this time because you're not going to be committed to Mutas, but then to let it finish while having lost most of your Mutas and not making more, it's a small thing, but Total Biscuit, I'm going to go out on a limb and just be like, I think FireCake's a little bit rattled, man.
I mean, with that many Liberators, you have to wonder if he intends on building any more Mutalisks at the moment, you know, because that air upgrade represents an extra Muta, but he didn't even try to build one. You notice he's transitioning back into Roaches now. You know, he's getting Roaches speed. But this is unfortunate for him because it looks like he wanted to go for that fast Spire, as you said. He built the Spire. He started to build a few Mutalisks. His mining had obviously been disrupted. And then he's like, well, I actually can't do that now. So I guess I'm going back to Roaches, but I don't have the upgrades necessary to support that build right now. So this is going to delay me immensely and give Masa a few minutes of breathing room.
FireCake wanting to be the aggressor this time around has had a fantastic creep spread, by the way. That creep tumor is...
That's ridiculous.
It's a neighbor to the 3rd of Masa. Masa, mostly Marines right now, is going to get pushed back here a little bit. Does open up the Liberation Zone there. And a nice connection with the Corrosive Bile. I do have to say, FireCake, if StarCraft doesn't work out, you might consider being a 3-point shooter in the NBA or something. This guy is dunking on fools with these Corrosive Bile shots. He's hitting... It's a skill shot, guys. It's not like you target something and it'll track it down. you have to predict a spot where something meaningful is going to be and shoot there, and he's been hitting really good shots all tournament long.
He absolutely has. He'll join a long and successful line of French basketball players. Very, very successful there. If this will work out, go back to Warcraft 3, because there's a lot of that there. You know, you'll do pretty well. But one way or the other, FireCake is now getting 10 more drones, and it's like, okay, I've put Masa in a corner for the moment. Masa's drops seem to have ceased. They won't cease for long, I can guarantee. But we are seeing a different Masa this time around. He's going tanks, you know. I said before, it's like if he's forced to build something else, he will. If there's a lot of Roaches and Ravagers on the field, he can't necessarily build too many Marines, you know, because that's not going to do that well, especially against a lot of Carapace. But he wants to add tanks into the mix. That's the correct call. That's a lot of Liberators that just died there to those Ravager shots. But that Liberator is getting a couple of pickoffs and he's denying a little bit more mining. Now, remember earlier we were talking a little bit about the success rate of Masa in tournaments. Well, here's an interesting one. Recently, in a Canadian event called King of the North, he actually beat Neve in the finals.
Oh, there you go. That's also a good little notch on his belt. FireCake fighting for his life is going to fight up into these tanks, but he's taking massive losses. This is between his third and would-be fourth. But he loses a lot. Drones are dying in the background here too as well, which tells me there's probably another Liberator doing Liberator things. And all of a sudden, FireCake, who is this guy and why is he so darn aggressive, is pushed up into his natural. He's going to pull the drones again, but that's ineffective at best.
There's 2 tanks there. That's absolutely brutal. The Ravagers didn't seem to be in the mix then. They didn't manage to bring the tanks down. We're seeing a much better play here from Masa than Polt was. He's positioning his tanks much better. He's broken the lines. 70 supply to 140. FireCake is falling rapidly. The economy is crumbling. GG.
Masa takes a 2-0 lead and is unimpressed. FireCake destroys the WCS reigning champion from the Winter Championship and looked good doing it, but he's facing a different beast here. Masa is a color of aggression we have not seen, actually. It's been amazing.
He's I mean, you were talking earlier about you want a dark horse in this tournament. Masa is the very embodiment of that idea. He can pop up out of nowhere and do a great job. FireCake has been completely off balance by the speed, by the aggression, by the control of Masa. And yeah, Masa might be a little bit reckless, one might say, but maybe a reckless style is what's required to mess up FireCake.
You know, normally I'd agree because I've been watching his games for years too, and maybe he is reckless, but so far we haven't seen that actually. His micro, I mean, we were so impressed with how he was dodging Zergling's sight with those first 2 drops on game number 1, and then since then he picked up and removed those tanks. Like, he's actually been playing very precise and very well, and his money is staying low while doing that, guys. This guy's playing a top-notch game. The kind of scary thing is, by the way, I'm not like a Masa expert, but he's always been a TvT sniper.
Did you just see that? You know, that's the big difference right there. That was what Polt was not able to do. Masa's speed enabled him to dodge that shot and not lose the tank. And as the tank continued to be there, he was able to destroy the Roach Force as opposed to collapse underneath the weight of that pressure.
Very cool control, and it's the kind of stuff that we've been hoping to see from more Legacy of the Void players, and here they are. They're evolving. But to finish my point, he also earlier beat State in a TVP, so we haven't seen his TVP yet, but that's a pretty good person to beat. And if his TvZ is this good, guys, look out, because as you said, I think we do have our dark horse. Nobody was picking Masa to do this well, and he's thrashing FireCake right now.
Yeah, you know, if you think about that tournament, and bear in mind that tournament was very recent. That was actually in March when he beat Neve. So that's not too far out at all. So you could say that he's got a current serious win over one of now the favorites. But
Neve's best matchup's PvT, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yeah, so if that ends up being the final, that's going to be one hell of a final. But one way or the other, we still have the opportunity for FireCake to come back in this. Let's see if he can do it. Here on Ruins of Endion in the southeast position. Ladies and gentlemen, in the red trunks playing Zerg, it is FireCake. Versus his opponent, who is dominating right now in this matchup. Can he keep up the pace? We're about to find out. In the southwest position in the blue trunks playing Terran, currently up 2-0 in this best of 5. Team Elevate Masa.
Hopefully earning some fans here. It's not just that he's beating FireCake, he's actually doing it.
He's mauling him, I think was the term that you made.
Honey badgering him out. Going for the exposed testicles. I mean, that's what a honey badger would do. It's not inappropriate, scientific, guys.
It is true.
I mean, that.
It's great. You could tune into the stream, you get entertained and educated.
People did not know that. The honey badger is an evolved creature, but I want to see if he shakes us up. We did see a bit different army composition, TvZ, as you point out. Tanks were coming out to great effect last game. We saw Liberators, and actually a really cool side of Liberators. Sometimes people are reticent to throw them out there. They're like, no. If I have 8 Liberators, I'm like 9 invincible. And certainly that's kind of true.
You can't attack me. That's
but
well,
early
sometimes.
Liberators, and look what he did too, by the way. He wasn't even behind the minerals. He just was like, nah, fly to their base and do it up, boys. And they would kill 5 drones, but he would also attack at the same time. So FireCake was not replacing those 5 drones.
No.
And that became a problem as the game went on.
Yep, that's always the issue with Zerg that some people seem to forget. It's like, when you first start playing the game, and maybe you don't play a race that is Zerg, and you see what Zerg, it's like, it's not fair that Zerg can build 20 units at once. Like, yeah, but the thing is that you use the same production facility to build drones as well. So if you're building military units, you're not building workers, and if you are constantly under attack, as is the state of the game when Masa is involved, you have to be extremely careful as to when you decide to build workers. If you decide not to, and then you lose all your workers, well, you're dead.
Nail, head, total biscuit, hammer. You're exactly right. That is the anxiety of a Zerg player is not that they can produce so much; it's what do they produce, and that's why a lot of times when a Zerg is able to sit back and make those choices, we're here going, oh, beautiful injects, wonderful. Oh, their economy's so good. Oh my goodness. But when you're applying pressure to them, that's when we see things like panic. Oh God, 30 roaches, and then they pick up and float away, and they're like, what do I do with these roaches? Problems happen.
Roaches do not mind. They cannot be repurposed for that, unfortunately.
And I'm not injecting, and my overlords aren't scouting. Like that's how you apply pressure, surely, in all RTSs. But I think especially with Zerg, because they're such a busybody race otherwise, injecting and creep tumors and all that kind of stuff needs to happen. If it doesn't, they're in trouble.
Well, speed kicks in right there.
Dead
that Reaper is dead. Yep, nice round there. That's good. And surprising, Masa doesn't generally lose his Reaper that early on. The scouting overlord, fast scouting overlord moving across the map there to have a look. And nice move by Masa to close off one of the potential attack avenues of the Zerg player early on.
He's fully sealed in, actually. It doesn't show right there, I think, but those rocks are actually fully closed across. And then inside that third, those rocks are up as well. So certainly what a Zerg can do is start to work on the backside of him, but the nice thing for a Terran player is they have ranged weaponry. So as long as he sees that happening, he can actually shut it down.
Yep.
And Masa now knows, I can go attack, and I'm not worried about 20 speed Zerglings counterattacking me. This is me being the aggressor while being safe. Brilliant play by Masa.
Yep, it's a good idea, no doubt about that. And
shout out to Dustin Browder, by the way, too. Rocks were involved in this game. Thank you so much for what you've done.
Yeah, you rock. What can I say? That was awful. Fire me now. One way or the other, we have a 7 Marine drop coming in, and it was unspotted by the various overlords, and that could be 1 dead queen. Always nice to pick off, but there are 2 more to back it up. A nice
Gotta
little
be careful.
bit of micro. Yeah,
Medevac.
Don't
he knows.
overextend. He's going to... Oh, wow, he lost all of them for that 1 queen. That was... You were talking about trades earlier. That is a trade you do not want to make.
Well, so what I love about that situation so much is he was going to lose that medevac if he tried to evacuate those Marines.
Very
and
true.
that could have been the end to so many great alien movies that were never made, where the Marines are like, go, I know that you can't save us. And then they didn't die in vain. They do bring that queen down, which, whatever. I don't know if the trade's good or not there necessarily, but what I can tell you is that they were going to die. Killing the queen, save the medevac, good call. Masa playing well.
You're right. Totally right. Good decision making. On paper, it doesn't look great, but in that situation, that medevac, which is probably going to die because he went back in with 10 HP, so it's a little risky.
I don't like this. So this is
carrying attack. Oh, God. Oh, God, there's 2 queens in that. Oh, no.
That's actually super awesome. And this is the most funny chase I've seen in StarCraft in a long while.
It's like,
the queens are inside, like, they're like holding on to like tendons, like, turn it to the left, accelerate, overload. And they're going to push forward.
Captain, put more coal in the boiler.
You said earlier with you called Masa reckless. Using a 10 health medevac to haul a tank around? I agree.
You get my point now?
That's pretty reckless. Yeah.
He doesn't care. He does not. He might care when his tank falls from the sky in fiery pieces, but right now he's doing okay with it.
And I love that conversation because there was 2 tanks, 2 medevacs. I would be the tank over there like, no. The other one.
I want the other one.
The other one picked me up, the full health. And he's like, God dang it. And the other, he's like, no, we're fine,
It's
dude.
like one guy gets American Airlines, the other guys get Spirit. It's like, nope.
He's like, listen, bro, we're going to be fine. What is he going to haul 2 queens around in an overlord? Nobody does that.
That's exactly what's happening right now, and a lovely little pickup there. He's still doing it. That's what I can't believe. It's like, stop that. My blood pressure's high enough already. Don't do this.
Watching this, somewhere out there, David Kim is laughing maniacally because he's like, this is exactly what I wanted. Queens flying around, pooping out tumors.
Look how silly this is. This is wonderful. This
How's that Liberator hurt?
I don't know what happened to that. I think it just flagellated itself because it felt sort of an emotional connection with that medevac there.
That's it.
It's dead. I told you it would happen.
Medevac picked off. I mean, and that is reckless. If you're going to play out there this long, it's going to happen. These queens might actually get the Liberator as well. They're going to have to do something because they're about to die.
Yeah, they're gone.
Right.
You know what? That's not a terrible trade. You know, you get these.
Look at the creep spread.
Overlord as well. That's FireCake in a nutshell, isn't it? You know, he's spreading.
It's also
really,
those queens, though.
That is very true, and it gives those queens a lot more mobility, even when they're on the ground, so they can actually pick that stuff up. It's weird. Masa's tried to be aggressive this time, and you know what? FireCake has actually shut it down much, much better. This is becoming a series right now. That Liberator needs to get the hell out of there.
This is what I wanted to see. As nice as it is to see that unknown player really show up and just thrash somebody. We talked up FireCake because, guys, he's a phenomenal player, and he's starting to adjust. He's like, okay, you're aggressive. I am going to defend. And that's kind of something we were hoping to see in game number 2. I think he wanted to, but he got thrown off a little bit.
Yeah.
We're seeing more of that here. He's got solid 3-base economy. I believe that's a 4th top right that he's pushing. And his creep spread is all over the middle of the map. If there's one thing to be said, Masa has been over-focused, kind of dropping the lower part of the map. There we go. You need to kill these creep tumors.
Yeah, because that creep is getting out of control. It's giving way too much map control and far too much speed to the Zerg play. I would not be out with that small force. I think that's enough. Masa could definitely clean that up without too much of a problem. I'm a bit concerned about Masa's medevac count. It's a lot lower than it was previous game. So that could be a little bit dicey, especially with Infestors in the mix.
And Tolbisky, you point out something a couple games ago at this point in time, but it's very relevant now. Masa is a bit more Marine heavy than your typical Terran player. And with that Ultralisk Cavern finishing up, Marines, they don't favor super well against Ultralisk, he said politely as a caster. Like, it's actually going to get really bad.
Yeah, it's like, they're not exactly a soft counted Ultralisk. You know what is a soft counter? Look at Marines! Right in, and 1, 2, 3, down goes your army.
Jeez.
Wipe the hell out. That was a light of heaven move right there. That was obliteration. And now we've got a series on our hands. Masa reeling from that.
What is the, like, D&D equivalent to fungal growth, corrosive bile?
I mean, that's a natural 20 with exploding crits, right?
I like it. I think that is it. That is having the creativity to douse your opponent in gasoline and then also hit them with a fireball.
Something to do with an owl bear. You know, I always found that concept to be terrifying.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it.
No, I wouldn't either. You know, it's rather traumatic for me. All right, what do we got? Well, we have a smaller Terran army here, but you're also looking at a highly aggressive player with Widowmines now in the mix, but borrow time. Ultralisks on the field already. Marauder count, not very high. Tank count, well, I don't think it's non-existent at this point.
No, Masa's army's not key to deal with this. Liberators were going to be his best option, but if you look at that production tab up there, he's not really making anymore. So now it's the adaptability of Masa. We've seen your aggression. We've seen FireCake now adapt to that. What are you going to do to adjust to Ultras? Well, first off, he's going to be everywhere.
Stand. Yeah, don't stand on top of that Ultralisk egg. That's going to get very unpleasant for you very quickly. And this is what Masa's, when I was talking about the idea of ruthless and reckless aggression, see how much Masa stims all the time. You know, the amount of medevac energy stays fairly low, and the Marines stay fairly low on HP as well. That can be risky, especially with fungals in the mix.
Well said. Also, like, the stutter micro was gorgeous and awesome and amazing earlier on, but now he's stutter microing against cracklings and ultras that have a grip of armor. They're not taking a whole lot of damage. So it's like, Masa, you're very fast and aggressive and awesome. This is great. You need to readjust your army. Get out of here. He's like trying to do drops to buy time, but it's just not working. And now the Zerg FireCake is knocking down these walls. And honestly, Masa has to have his entire army out of here. It cannot stand up to this army. His best chance is to counterattack, but he's going to try.
Yeah, he split his army in two rather than going for a full-on base trade. And maybe the base trade would have been a better idea, but it's still 3 bases to 5. It would take a while for the Terran to do it. But I think the Terran has superior mobility. Ooh. That is interesting that he missed that Liberator.
Yeah, he definitely missed that shot.
That might be the first time I've seen him miss a corrosive bile, and that actually played out well in favor of Masa, who actually now has the Zerg on the retreat. Uh-oh, it's a trap!
Jeez. Fungal growth off the high ground is going to kill most of this. Masa is dropping top right, but he's just killing the 5th base. A single Ultralisk gets deployed to put that down. And believe it or not, it actually probably will thin this out enough that, well, no, okay.
It died eventually.
I hold back.
There's more Marauders in the mix now. These Banelings walking right into the Liberation Zone and Concussive Shell, but a lot more Ravagers being added in. good tanking there by those Marauders.
Yeah.
They're able to eat most of those Banelings. And
wow.
did he get a little bit impetuous? He might. Now the stutter micro's being applied to Marauders.
What's
With concussive shell. Masa is trying to push this back. He's equalizing the army supply right here, and he's killed 17 drones in the process. The 4th base is going down.
What?
Masa, two-pronged aggression.
All of a sudden, FireCake is on 3 mining bases. He's going to have to resaturate that base. Masa
Masa's
is
headed
pushing
supply.
forward. He's ahead supply. He's starting to make Marauders 4 at a time. That is adjusting your army, by the way. Those are how you deal with Ultras. It's not fantastic, but it's what it's what you got. It's those and Liberators. And all of a sudden, FireCake's like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure you were dead 2 minutes ago. This should have been over. Why am I not mining as much and my army's half as big as it was?
No, that is not the case with Masa. Masa has speed, which against that Ravager Ultralist composition, the kiting and the ability to dodge is incredibly important. Paul played a static style, so he ended up just eating corrosive bile, whereas Masa plays a mobile style. He's able to actively kite off creep. He's doing incredibly well here with a more heavy style. Got to dodge out of the way of the fungus. Doesn't want to be hit by that.
He's just losing control. The infestors are going to the south for some reason.
I don't know what's going on. I think FireCake's kind of losing it here. He needs to get the hell out of there. Masa evacuates, and FireCake is still on top of him, but Masa has come back in this. He's got a 10 supply lead. He needs to get his upgrades going. I'd love to see 3-3 from the Terran. He's currently behind August. There we go. There's a +1. It's going to take a while, but
he has to land a fungal. He needs his army to stop moving. He lands
got it.
It's not a good enough fungal. He loses one infestor. The other one's turning tail and running. And FireCake's going to push forward here.
Liberation zones right on top of it, potentially. There we go, landing back on the Ravage. It's going to be able to do more damage. More corrosive bile fires out there, but the accuracy is gone for some reason. FireCake is being stretched to his limit because of the speed of Masa.
Well, Ultralists are really good here. He is getting spread out just a little bit, and Masa, even with those overstimmed units, are starting to thin this out. 3 Ultralists remain, but they're not really supported by anything, and it looks like there is a chance that Masa's going to be able to clean this up. Huge AoE damage. Never mind, hold that thought, and all of a sudden there's just a double number of Ultras. They do dislodge this base. The top base was at least picked up for a moment, so all of a sudden it's Masa's economy that is suffering.
Yeah, he's playing a style that's on the razor's edge. It's just so dangerous. And if he makes one misstep, as we saw there, the Ultras get into range, they cleave, and they obliterate 5 or 6 Marauders right off the bat. Now FireCake is back in control. He has a larger army, a slightly better economy, and those are some very worn-out medevacs.
And army supply is so close here. Harvester count, yes, in favor of FireCake, but not by much. He's now fighting underneath the Liberators. There's actually a decent number of Bioforce here. That was a mistake. FireCake's going to back up. He's losing out on Ravagers as well, so all of a sudden these Liberators are becoming one-way damage. There's the Infestors. Does he land the fungal? No, it's a partial fungal. It's pretty okay, though. There's a lot of Marauders caught in there. And keep in mind, something Total Biscuit touched on, a lot of those medevacs are the medevacs. They're like, do not pick me up, young lady. I do not want to fly on your ship.
They're going to be repaired at this point. Look at them. They've got 1 HP each. That
he has no time.
No, he doesn't, because FireCake is hammering down on him again. We've got Masa trying to survive until these upgrades, but right now they're overrunning yet another mining base of Masa.
Forward.
Oh, this is...
What has he got in that Overlord? I'm actually really excited. If it's Queens, it's cool. If it's... Okay, we'll never find out. They're dead. But he actually dislodges the base. More SCVs dying. 18. They're dead in droves. There's only 30 SCVs in total.
More Liberators taken out of the sky. They did a lot of damage in the process, but Masa is starting to fall behind again. He has quite a surprising amount of units still, but his economy is starting to suffer greatly. Planetary Fortress going up to the north. That certainly might help. There's a two-pronged attack.
Okay, well,
he's going again. He takes out the base.
The infestors.
He got most of the infestors. There's just one left. Now that's gone down the concussive shell. Masa's pushing back again. There's a small army supply difference. He takes out another base. He stims towards another one. Hatchery is vulnerable right now.
And he's actually pushing out the Ultras army as well.
They've got no health. This is ridiculously risky.
That's how we live it in America, actually. And he's going to shove forward here. Does kill most of the army. The Ultras had to pull back. They need to mine from this base. If we can get a look at the main, natural, and third, I think they're actually quite mined out. And all of a sudden, each of these mining bases become ever so critical. He was fighting for the win. Nah, he's going to pull back and now just fight for the starvation.
That planetary's going down.
Oh my God, that army.
That's ridiculous. He needs to get some SCPs in there. That's just heart attack inducing at this point.
There's like tarps covering the windows and there's just flames shooting out of the back of it. It's fine, it's fine. As long as we can stim some more, we should be okay.
It's just a little broken. It's still good. It's still good. No, it's not.
The pilot's not using a mic anymore. She's just yelling through the like half carapace.
We're going through a little bit of turbulence. Fasten your seatbelts, put your tray tables in your upright and locked position. That might do the job. A little bit of a ling run by to do yet more economic damage, and every single SCV you can pick off here is crucial. But Masa's army is somehow now bigger, and he's got +3 now, so he can finally do some damage to those Ultras.
Masa has the bigger army. If you look at the supply, he's once again clamping down on that base. FireCake.
Oh, FireCake loses
I just
control.
can't believe what I'm seeing. He picks up. Now this is the strength of these drops. He picks up, retains the units. It's not going to come back home. It's just going to stay there and say, okay, the next time your slow, cumbersome army is in the middle of the map, I'm dropping this again. You're not going to mine from there.
Masa has cranked it up to 11 right across the board in terms of his speed now. He knows that FireCake isn't as fast as him. He's pushed a lot of the creep back. He has a ton of mobility. I still think one good fungal and Masa's army is toast, but right now he's staying alive. Somehow, some way, he's got the control to make it happen.
He has guard dog Ultralisk, and that's it. He's starting to, he knows he has to mine from this top right location, and at the same time, there's this army breathing down his back. Looking at that production tab, we're seeing more Ravagers coming out and some Roaches as well. That is good. A good Corrosive Bile, by the way, will kill 5 medevacs over there.
Can we see the unit count? Because I have a feeling...
that fungal.
I was about to ask if there's any infestors. It looks like there's a couple. He catches...
Wow.
The look. He catches it on the only medevacs with any health whatsoever. There are only 2 infestors, and the Ravager count is starting to build up again, but it's not that great right now. I'd like to see Masa back off right now.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
the fungal, please.
Get out of there. Get the hell out of there. He can't spread there. He's trying to find a place to expand. Masa's getting starved here, but FireCake's also losing base.
Where is FireCake getting these units from, though? He just, like, it's top right. It's like, how many guard ultras do you have? 6? This base is getting sacked here again. Again, that mobility being a problem. He's going to fight into the Liberation Zone. He might think he has to do this. He's going for it. This is a huge army.
It is.
Where did this much Zerg come from?
But that's not a good engagement. Masa backed his entire army off to make sure that he didn't end up taking the brunt of that.
And in the background.
Oh, if he can focus this down, the Ultras might cleave their way through here. He decides to evacuate. Smart move. He can pick that off later. Now he needs to bring his army together to somehow defeat this Ultralisk force and get an expansion, because Masa is not mining a huge amount right now. Neither's FireCake. FireCake is barely mining at all. Look in front of the engagement. He runs into Liberation Zones. Doesn't really eat too many Corrosive Biles. There's still a couple of Liberators up there.
He desperately needs some fungals. We saw infestors earlier on. Did they die, or
they
where
sniped.
are they at? They
Looks like they got picked up.
He's going to push through this, but that was a huge mistake. Does get the Liberators there, which is nice.
Got the base.
Background, Hatch dies again.
That's one of the mining bases. There's only one mining base left here for FireCake. And yes, you know, Masa's getting starved, but so is FireCake. And FireCake's starting to sacrifice units. Look at the supply. 20 supply or so lead here for Masa. 80 armored supply to 67. The kiting begins. There's a little bit of creep around there. Oh my God, those units are so low.
They're all so low.
He can't stim again. He's out of energy. He can't do that again.
One fungal, please.
Oh my God, he dodges again. Oh, 1, 2, and can he get the third? He gets the third.
All Ultras dead. It's just Ravagers. FireCake, you're up against the ropes. Here
you
comes
have
Masa.
no health.
Nobody
you
has any
suicidal
health.
maniac. What are you doing? He goes for it anyway. He's going for it. He catches another Ravager off guard. 31 armor supply to 72 from the Terran.
2 more Ultras were sent in from the ancestors of FireCake. They're like, we've saved up enough money. You can have these guys. Do something with them. But unfortunately, I mean, he's mining off that top right-hand side base. Masa is trying to fight for that gold base, by the way. He might have actually secured it if we can...
Looks like he has. If you look down to the bottom right there, to the south, he's got the gold base. He just muled the hell out of that base.
That sucks to look at. They don't do anything. They're just... But you know what they are? They're outer space SCVs, so it's fine.
God, he needs more medevacs. He needs medevac energy desperately right now. He wishes the Caduceus reactor was actually good. You know, he wants the energy. He needs to heal his units back up, because you notice how stim-heavy a style Masa plays.
2 infestors, Total Biscuit.
Oh my, they might make the difference. You know,
that's his army. That's it. That's what he's got. But if he lands a fungal on that army, it kills 6 medevacs and 30 Marines.
That could actually swing things back in his favor. I like that Masa's going forward with a small force right now. He wants to find out what's going on, find out where the enemy army is, how big is it, and make sure if he does get fungal, he doesn't lose too much in the process. He stims
looking for an
like
Ultras cavern,
tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, he'd love to. He gets the Roach Warren right now. He's found 2 Ultralists. He's getting the hell out of there right now. Still 94 armor supply to 48. Get the hell out of there. Don't risk it. But look, he's managed to heal his units up. He's got something resembling an army now.
I mean, both of them. They're just so battered. And I like that he's kind of staging here. He says, okay, well, if I can sit on this gold base for long enough, that supply difference is going to grow in my favor tremendously. I mean, look at FireCake's army. For the long time, there was like, where are you getting these units? But now his army seems in stasis. It's really unimpressive at this point in time. I know he has some of it partitioned up here to defend, but that's his army.
It's not big
I feel like if Masa knew this, by the way, he would go for it. But he's not quite aware, I think.
I think Masa is very aware of the possibility of risk. Oh, it's a flank, but that's not the whole army, though. He catches a couple of medevacs, gets out with the rest. That doesn't actually matter that much. He's still got double the army supply. That was, I don't know why he stuck around for that. He lost 2 more medivacs for no real reason there. He's losing a little bit of control, which is not what he wants. But look, he has a much. I wonder if he's baiting to try and get the rest.
He's got 3 medivacs with no energy here.
You know what? I think that was actually deliberate. I think he realized those medivacs weren't going to be any use. He wanted to burn the fungal so that the rest of his army could go in and fight against infestors with no energy. He gets the concave, and here he goes. He's going right on the ramp. He does not want to run into that. He dodges it just barely, and now he's heading up the ramp.
FireCake's army is just nothing. It's so weak. It's low unit count. He needs these fungals to be absolutely massive. He's going to say, you know what? You can have that base. It's just a couple of hatcheries. There's no tech here. He's being pushed back to his last remaining bases. 2 ultras are about to pop out, but from where? If they're coming from the main, oh, there's one by itself.
One's going to get caught out here.
Masa sees this. Okay, it's actually going to do some damage. He's going to go in for it.
Oh, there we go. There's the stim. He now realizes he's bringing a Liberator along with him as well. That is Ravager bait, certainly, but the armed forces of Masa is good. It will look at 8-9 hours, Supply 69 going for the engagement right now, trying to kite on creep. Very dangerous. 1 ultra down, 2 ultra down. He continues to survive. He finds the ultraless cannon. Eats a corrosive bile at the back. There's no medivac energy whatsoever here. This is incredibly risky, but it's an all-or-nothing attack right here from the Terran. Oh, so very risky. If he takes 1 ultraless cleave, that's a whole army going down. The ultra flank comes in, takes a few more. He needs to back off. He's starting to bleed away. Now he's finally getting the hell out of there. Thank God. Oh my God, this is crazy.
Someone get us more Monster Energy drinks, or I don't know, something to put us to sleep.
Or an inferior competing brand of some description.
Exactly. That's marketing. There we go. All right, so he's going to push forward. The medivacs again remaining low in energy. It's just Ravage now. There's only 1 Ultras. It's dead. That Infestor's got something on its mind, but there's no Ultras to support this. Now it's going to be Zerglings coming out, and he picks up and leaves. Masa is kind of losing steam, by the way. He still has the supply advantage, but it used to be like 137 to 80. Now it's 93 to 63. Gold bases mine really fast.
Oh, that Overlord is going to deny that by looks of it if he spreads creep quick enough. What I want to see from Masa, pull back, find the mining base of the Zerg and kill it. Don't worry about engaging the army right now. This is a little bit dicey here for the Zerg play. He doesn't have the units to actually deal with this. A few Ravagers are going to be caught out.
My God,
nice corrosive bile on the retreat.
That was an over-the-shoulder, just behind-the-back three-pointer, man. This guy is insane. And there is that creep spread. A Zergling actually killed the Marine. So this is going to delay that base. And all of a sudden, Masa now knows, okay, that's the base of issue. This is where I have to focus. And so does FireCake. I'd like to see some Zerglings at that southern... Well, hey.
Nice.
Hey.
Yeah, and that's on the gold base as well. That could be potentially devastating. The work count is only 30 right here. Masa, as you said, he was running out. He was trying to kill the army, whereas I think he needs to be hitting the economy of the Zerg play. He needs to stop this recovery. He needs to kill that mining base, because he literally has 1. You know, that's the mining base right there. He's found it, but that army wasn't big enough to deal with it.
Didn't go for the fumble. Of course, he has no chain to follow it up. To your point, though, and this is, by the way, Masa's base. He has yet to land it, but that's all he's going to be mining off of.
And he's got to land it. There's no mining otherwise. We saw on the screen right there. He must mine and defend. We're seeing the Zerg player has caught up. They're very even in supply. He needs to drop that. There we go. All right, there we go. He's finally got it. Okay, cool. Now he can start producing units again. He goes in with the Stim Marauders, trying to do some economic damage.
That flight path.
Very risky.
It's not good.
No! He shoots, he scores. That's devastating. That just cut a good 15 supply off the Terran army.
And all of a sudden, FireCake is your supply leader here, mining off of, let's call it 1.5 bases, amassing Ultras, landing these fungal growths, and clawing his way back into this. There was a certain point in this game where if you told me that FireCake would be in the driver's seat, I would have laughed in your face, and that's it.
He survived.
I would have laughed in your face.
You got to admit he survived. Fungal not very good there, and I think that's he's out of energy, so he can't do that again. But the Lynx get into that gold mineral line. There's honestly not a lot there. It's that top left base that is the key right now. He's got to mine out of that. He's starting to produce more Marauders and Liberators, which I like. The Ravager numbers have started to thin out. Liberators are a good choice here, as opposed to Marines. You know, he's still producing some because he sees the threat of the cracklings.
They're good in that they can harass behind bases, and of course Liberation Zone is good defensively and offensively, but there's always been Ravagers here, and those Liberators represent a lot of Masa's money available to him, so I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but we'll have to see how it pays out here, because there is definitely a risk to that choice.
There is. Masa's recovered in terms of army supply thanks to that windfall from muling the northwest base. The question is, can he build up an armed force strong enough to crush what remains of FireCake's army, or will he attempt harassment? By the looks of it from that drop, he's trying to do that, but he's also trying to face off against this army. Do we have an Infestor in the mix? We actually don't. So as long as he can keep dodging off creep, there's that one Infestor. It has no fungals, though.
My kingdom for a fungal.
He doesn't have the energy. He's going to snipe it. He's going for it. 1, 2, 3, down it goes.
FireCake is so good about preserving so many of his units except the Infestors. The Infestor Union has a word and a bone to pick.
Oh no, that's
FireCake.
a devastating run by huge economic damage. Masa's all in right now, I think. He's got a large army. He eats a huge attack. That's not good. He doesn't have the economy to support his development anymore. He's got to make it happen now, and I don't think that's necessarily going to happen.
Top right!
More liberation zones got it. Yeah, he attacks the top
FireCake's
right
lost
as well.
bases as well behind this. He's down to 1 mining base. It's all about this army, and we know how good Terrans can be on low econ, so this is anything but over. That base died in the background.
Yes, it did. Oh, good pickup. He takes down.
Biles hitting the
he's another one. He's stimmed forward. He wants to take the Ultras. He's desperate to take the Ultras. He snipes one. He's going for the second one at the back right there.
There's
Watch out.
Infestors just outside of view. Oh my God.
All right, he's going to heal up. That's smart. That's good. We're looking at now 58 army supply to 61, but Zerg has an economy of sorts, and the Terran basically has mules. The Ultra Cabin just got sniped. The Ultra Cabin just got sniped in the background somewhere. He's rebuilding it.
The fungal we are about to see happen.
He's found it again. He's looking to try and take it out, and I think he's in a position where the Ultra can't reach. It's too fat.
Well, that's like your opinion or something, man. Like, you say fat, I say perfectly fluffy.
Husky.
Yeah, there we go. A little bit of a drop. This is actually the last mining base. This should be where the focus is, but that's dead
and he takes it out. He's going to lose a lot of his army in the process. What's this? Oh, no, he loads it up!
That's almost all of them. He's got the one that still has used. GG's called out! FireCake takes the game!
Oh my God!
Holy crap!
What a game between FireCake and Masa. That was insane.
Look at the sweat on Masa's forehead. No, he's actually cool as a cucumber. Honey Badgers don't give a damn. FireCake, though, gets to play another game. And this game was so back and forth, so tight, so well played. Let me get into frame. I was actually blasted off the stage just like that, guys, but I'm back. It was so good. That's good StarCraft.
That was some good StarCraft. That's TvZ at its absolute finest.
I don't smoke, but I feel like I could use a cigarette, maybe. A sprawling posture.
I mean, I feel as a male, I need to go to sleep for 8 hours now.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was incredibly fast-paced there. FireCake held on somehow. I mean, there were 20 different instances where he could have just died at that point.
And I thought he did, is the thing.
He almost did.
For 5 minutes, he was running around with 2 Ultras and like 3 Ravagers, desperately being like, let me mine off the top right-hand side here. Here's just one of the countless interactions we had. And look at these Infestors. These are the traitor Infestors. They're like, you know what? Nah, we're gonna go somewhere else.
We're going south. We're going to 6th Street.
There's a fungal down here. I can feel it. I got somewhere to be.
You know, I wonder if that was almost deliberate and he thought that he predicted the flight path, but you know, they're too slow. He was off creep. He wasn't able to pull that off. You know, what would have been nice, I'd have liked to see borrowed Infestors during that game. I think that would be good. Obviously, it's a little bit extra action to make it happen, but, you know, you sneak them around, you drop a fungal out there, that can be a big surprise.
I'm sure FireCake would have liked to, man, but he's like, well, I'm not going to do a French impression, but in his words, he would have said something like, if I had the money to do that, maybe. His Infestors, by the way, someone on that Euronics team needs to pull them aside and be like, yo, they're actually really good if you keep them alive, too. If you believe it, they're better than 1 fungal each.
Masa, however, you've got to admit, was aggressive and on point with sniping them.
Yes.
So
well, and he targeted them. Yeah. He would go forward and be like, okay, I'm going to take a couple cleaves from Ultras, but I'm going to pick off your Infestors, and if I can continuously pick up and be where you're not, that's my strength. But, man, you point out something that was something that's been happening, but because of how close this game was, the stimming of Masa's army and just how incredibly busy and active he is with his army meant there was no time for repairs. There was no time for energy to get back up and going. And his entire army was 1 fungal or a couple of corrosive biles away from death.
Oh, God, it was ridiculous in terms of the amount of risk he consistently took all the time. And he got away with it 90% of the time. It was just that 10% that killed him. And that was unfortunate. But that means we get another game.
I'm so happy.
Look at Master's APM, 500. Look at FireCake's APM, French. To the northwest position in the red trunks playing Zerg, who has currently covered 1 game in this best of 5 series from Euronics Gaming. It is FireCake.
Yeah, get around to the APM when I can. It's a little bit better, right?
I mean, you're getting there, honestly.
I think as a British person, you're predestined to not like any attempt at French accent.
Je ne comprends pas français.
See, I hate that too.
Indeed. I mean, I don't blame you. To the southeast position in the blue trunks playing Terran. Is he tired yet? He doesn't look it. In the blue trunks, It is Team Elevate's Masa.
Well, this is the most biased I've ever been. I desperately want FireCake to win another game, and let's get to Game 5. I mean, hats off to both those players for that effort. That was an incredible game. FireCake the entire time. And what I love about
700 APM, are you kidding me?
Well, let's cool our jets a little bit. He's spamming. There's actually nothing to do that's... I mean, I could be 900 APM right now. You wouldn't be impressed. Right? Well, maybe you would. I shouldn't take that away from you. But my point is, Masa, he blitzkrieged FireCake. Like, FireCake was very clearly taken aback the first 2 games. And then Game 3 is where he was starting to figure it out. But even Game 3, it was like, FireCake, it's too little too late. You're dead. But that's when we started to see that really good FireCake trademark army control. And he was just finding units in couch cushions we didn't know existed. Like, why was there 8 Ultras all of a sudden? You know, like that was so
I mean,
weird.
there's a reason why you check your pockets before you put your jeans in the wash. There might be an Ultra in there somewhere that you forgot about. He was able to bring that out, and he just kept producing units. I think it came down to the fact that Masa was having to keep his army together as opposed to striking at those mining bases. I almost felt like if you could spare just one Liberator, just one to maybe sneak around the side there, you know, and get into that null air position and try and hit the economy of FireCake, that might have worked out, but you don't blame him. He needs them defensively. There's no doubt about it. Taking one of those away, and he might not defend against the next attack.
Yeah. Well, as the president of the newly founded Masa fan club, I'm going to tell you, you're underselling him a little bit. He constantly peeled off units to go after those bases, and frankly, I think that was the only reason that was a game at all. I don't disagree with you that it would have been nice to see some Liberators, because that very specifically requires Ravagers, which he always did have, but have, I don't know, a tougher time getting up there, as opposed to what we saw was, well, I've got an Ultras, let's just throw it up at that base, and it's going to defend forever, because no 2 drops are ever going to kill an Ultras or 2.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. It would have required a more dedicated and committed defense, I think, there from the Zerg player. That might have worked out. Looking to try and take an Overlord out, and that is going to be 1, 2, 3, and not quite dead. He's not quite dead. He's going to be in a minute, maybe.
Be dead.
Yeah, you'd think so.
You're dead in my heart, at least. Just frickin' complete it. Nope. Wow.
An act of mercy there.
What is that, a Masa medevac? Flying around with 5 health like that. It does see a lot of Marines, though, so while it doesn't get to scout the base just yet, it's going to have to regenerate some health to do that, or if you're Masa, just fly in there anyways. But it does see a lot of Marines. He says, okay, I can kind of tell what opening this is. I'm not going to be facing any weird mech thing. It's going to be your Marine double medevac opening that we've seen from Masa so far.
And the risk, I think, is that while Masa's style has worked very well so far, if it does not adapt, then FireCake will. There's no guarantee that this is going to continue to work here for the Terran player.
Yeah, I'm a gigantic fan of FireCake Ravagers at this point in time. Like, some people can make them look like caveman tools where it's just like throw bile into enemy, but the shots that he was landing to claw his way back into that last game were just amazing. And we've seen him use them against even Pult, the fungal, hold you in place, and then land 3 or 4 corrosive biles to annihilate a large base of units. I want to see more of that. And it looks like he's heading in that direction. It's going to be Roach. He has Carapace upgrade up there up top, already making units. Interesting choice, though, because Masa has shown that he is an aerial Terran. He's going to drop you forever. And I guess FireCake's not a big fan of Spire, and that's okay.
Well, every time he builds it, he seems so reticent to actually build any more than 4 Mutalisks.
Yeah.
So we did see in the game versus Pult, he went Corruptor, which was really smart because he baited Pult into building too many Liberators, and then he punished him for that. But yeah, you're right. It's a very heavy drop style. He only loses a single Marine there. He gets
an Overlord.
Yeah, I mean, and he supply blocks FireCake, which is always nice. He's actually supply blocked for a good 15 seconds here because of the timing. So that's more. You might think, oh, we killed an Overlord, big deal, right? Well, 15-second supply block at this level is a big deal. And you notice there's the later lair this time. Again, going back to like Game 1 FireCake here, where he didn't rush as quickly up the tech tree.
And Tobis, to go to something that you've been pointing out throughout this match so far is the speed of Masa. One of the ways to best utilize your speed, of course, we can all understand you're just building faster, you're managing faster, but if you can apply pressure to your opponent and doing little drops that, sure, it picks off an Overlord, but your actions are more cheap because you don't care because you're faster, and your opponent, who's moving slower, has to spend more actions dealing with that. That's
this is a lovely move here by Masa. He realized, okay, I'm gonna put down a Liberator. I'm gonna bait some units, and then I'm gonna drop some Marines on it. The damage is immense here from the Terran. This is great. This is gonna deny mining. This killed a few Queens. That stuns the economy. It's another drop right here from Masa. If we thought he was gonna slow down by Game 4, we were horribly mistaken.
Oh, I don't know that we're gonna see a Game 5 with moves like this. This is the kind of stuff you see from a guy that wants to play in those semifinals, wants to push on and make a name for themselves. It's such a small little move, but we've been talking about trades all game long. That was a massive trade. While not that many drones did die there, the amount of queens, zerglings, and roaches that died to dislodge one Medivac worth of units and a single Liberator was ridiculous. And FireCake knows that he's been put on the back foot. If not in metrics, then certainly just in momentum of the game, I guess.
Yeah, and in terms of metrics, we do see a slight lead for the Terran. He establishes his third base without too much of a problem. It's an orbital command, that's more mules. He cancels his refineries for whatever reason. We'll probably see those again later. He has a slightly larger army. Hello, it's the sneaky queen over.
I love
all
this.
Right.
I love that he's doing this.
It's not going to last long, I'm afraid. He doesn't want that anymore. He's not having any of that. He don't want none. Down it goes, and the queen dies with it.
He lays a tumor there, though, and that's either going to cost a scan or it's going to become a big problem. And this is one of the ways FireCake can fire back, and that was one of the ways he secured for himself a fairly early advantage, I would say, in that game number 3, where he was pushing the boundaries with creep. Of course, Masa was able to respond, but it was a little bit dicey there for a while. Now, can FireCake stabilize? Because this is a pretty big drop coming over here, and FireCake's going to need all hands on deck.
Absolutely, he is. We see an army supply lead, a significant one here for the Terran. The Ravager count is not that high yet, to the point where Masa should be able to dodge out of the way. He does a little bit of damage, he picks up. That's a second drop now, heading over to the 4th base, up to the top here. Will there be interception? Are there enough units to even do that?
Tobis, I'm so in love with this play. I mean, he clears the tower, so that drop is spotted, but it's also eliminating scouting and information for FireCake, and as the game progresses, it's getting harder to keep track of all this aggression. Now, the 4th base gets
he cancels it. That's beautiful. I thought, oh, he's kind of running into a concave there, and he did. He lost a few Marines, but he took a hatchery for it. That's worth it.
He never just loses something. He's always getting something somewhere else, it feels like. He's now going to push up here. There are infestors out, but I don't believe they actually have a fungal growth. Meanwhile, there's also a drop going on inside the main. He just kind of trades there, pulls out because there are Zerglings there, but gets a couple of Zerglings. And now there's 4 Medivacs, and there's now Bio being pushed across, and all of a sudden, if FireCake's out of place just one time, his tournament life is over.
And this, oh, another cancel. Oh, not a cancel, I don't think. I don't believe he got a cancel on that, so he loses even more. That was a pretty decent fungal. Don't put your Medivacs there. He gets out of the way. Needs to get out of the way, but look at it. It's still 86 supply to 46. He needs to make use of his full army here, I think, because I think that's all the fungal energy gone now.
And FireCake can attack. Like, he just killed a huge chunk of units. He's not hurting the Medivacs, which is something we need to keep our eye on. But because of this drop inside the main that did just cancel the 4th, FireCake's on his side of the map, taking losses, not being the aggressor.
Yeah, and notice that FireCake is not able to advance to Ultralist tech at this point. He's only just building his +1 melee. He's playing Roach Infestor Ravager at the moment, which is not the devastating style that we've seen from him earlier. We are seeing actually quite a lot of Marauders coming out, but with that many Roach Ravager, that's totally acceptable here. We're seeing drones die as well. There's still a drop going on. Flo is just saying, please stop, Masa. This is ridiculous. I can't keep up.
Think of the flow.
Oh, good lord. I mean, she's already worked, what, 36 hours already. This is ridiculous. And thankfully, again, Masa is able to stutter step out of the way, do a lot more damage. Drones fall off the line, devastating economic damage done right here by Masa. 70 drones killing drones on top of the Ravagers. He's doing yet more damage. Reinforcements coming in. 91 army supply, 28 army supply for the Zerg. This is going to be it. Masa's going to nail him. And he is just 150 supply to 47. Masa is so fast. Masa is about to seal the deal and prove the Terran is still dominant. GG, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't even look phased by that.
I am impressed. I'm a big, massive fan after this. He locked on and mauled him for 2 games. Game 3 was a doozy of a game. If you missed it for some reason, check it out. But this 4th game was back to the mauling. Once he started being on the aggression in that game, he never let go. FireCake didn't even know there's another half to that map. It might as well have just been his 3 bases, and that's StarCraft for him. And probably not fun StarCraft, by the way. He had a bad time.
I mean, that's just been beaten with a brick over and over and over again. He just would not stop.
That's graphic.
It's pretty much. I mean, that's what it was. It was violent.
It kind of looked like that.
This is a violent video game, folks. You know, like keep your children at home at this point, especially after you see brutality like that. That should be illegal. That should be a war crime. What Masa just did to FireCake right there. I'm pretty sure the treaty between France and Canada is well and truly broken at this stage, because Masa just delivered a massive blow to the European hopes in this particular tournament, and now we see a round of 4.
Jokes like it's like intoxicating.
What can I say? I'm getting too old for this shit. But one way or the other, we saw Europe, we now see Canada, we see America, and potentially either Europe or Korea in the last match. And wouldn't that be a great spread to see?
I'm excited. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of stuff. We have one more good match coming up, but just a big hats off to Masa. Like, this moment in time was hard-earned through 500 APMs worth of dropping the correct decision on where to go from, canceling a fourth continuously, making sure that creep didn't get too out of hand. And by the way, FireCake is really good on the defensive. It's not like he just melted down and threw that away. I thought he played pretty well.
Game 3 was proof of that.
That attack with the Liberator behind the minerals in the medevac kind of conjoining together, and it didn't happen at once, by the way. The Liberator went there, and then a drop speeded and dropped underneath it, and that's when FireCake went. He was like, "Oh, what does a Frenchman say when they're distressed?"
Sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu.
Yeah, or other words that I'm not going. Actually, the Europeans are asleep. Merde, he'd probably say. But one way or the
I don't
other,
know what that means.
You don't want to know. But one way or the other, it was a great bait, mate, from Masa there. He was
awesome.
able to bring in several of those queens, kill them off, get a few more units, get some drones there as well, and then the entire rest of the game's like, all right, I've got a slight economic lead. Let's just hammer him. 1, 2, 3. Keep going. Let's just be faster than FireCake could keep up with, and that's the right strategy as a Bioterran player. I'm exhausted from watching that.
You know I am.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely do. You absolutely look it.
My running days are behind me.
Yeah, your hair's disheveled, you know. I think you need to change your shirt.
Slight glisten here.
Indeed. One way or the other, we do have an interview with a victorious Canadian who doesn't even look phased. Let's see if Chobra can rattle him a little bit. Take it away.
Indeed, thank you very much. An exciting match between Masa and FireCake, but Masa comes out on top. Congratulations, you're on to the semifinals. We got to talk about that game 3, right? You pressured him absolutely in game 1 and 2. Were you a little caught, back when he just put up such a fight in game 3? I mean, eventually winning that map.
I saw his match against Bolt and he broke down the rock. So I was thinking to myself, I shouldn't do this build, but I don't know why I did it. And that's why I had to fight so hard, although I still lost. It's really hard when you thought you won and then you just YOLO A move and then you lose. It just, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. But, the rest of it, especially the first 2 games, it's interesting because everyone was a little bit surprised at the upset that FireCake had against Polt. But then a lot of people coming into this match, they talked about it in the desk too, like, hey, I think because of that, Masa actually has a shot because of how aggressive you play, and you proved it. I mean, you were just aggression all the way. And, maybe, some people thought it was reckless, but to you, obviously, very calculated. I mean, that's kind of your style to begin with, but therefore, were you confident going into the match? Like, hey, I know FireCake's not going to be prepared for this?
Yes, I gotta say. And I didn't even know I had 500 APM. I don't know how I did it myself. I really don't. I usually have like 300 APM, but I guess today was my potential day.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you definitely put up quite a show. Let's also talk about the fact that you're kind of the Terran hope now. I mean, Polt got knocked down, and now you've taken down as revenge FireCake. You still got a couple matches if you really want to make a run for it, but how do you see your chances going in now on the other side? It's going to be another Zowie, whether it's a Laser or Hydra, and then towards the finals. Are you feeling pretty good? Do you think you have a really solid shot at picking up that trophy at the end of this weekend at DreamHack Austin?
I mean, this one, he was really predictable. He did the same thing entire game, and then shout out to you, Thermo and Beastie Cutie, for telling me what to do. Just mess bio and then crush him. I did it, but I don't know about Hydra and Laser, and especially Laser. I really don't know how we play, so it's gonna be really hard. But I think it's gonna be Hydra, and he's the Korean. Yeah.
All right, yeah, we know what you're thinking when you say that. Well, congratulations once again, and best of luck, rest well. You have the semifinals waiting for you tomorrow. Congratulations for all of you at home. We have one more of the quarterfinals waiting us after this break at DreamHack Austin.
I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you